This is the forest primeval, the murmuring pines and the hemlocks, bearded with moss and in garments green, indistinct in the twilight. Stand like druids of eld with voices sad and prophetic. Stand like harpers hoar with beards that rest on their bosoms. Loud from its rocky caverns, the deep-voiced neighboring ocean speaks, and in accents disconsolate answers the wail of the forest. This is the forest primeval, but where are the hearts that beneath it leaped like the roe when he hears in the woodland the voice of the huntsman? Where is the thatch roof village, home of Acadian farmers, men whose lives glided on like rivers that water the woodlands, darkened by shadows of earth but reflecting an image of heaven? Waste are those pleasant farms, and the farmers forever departed, scattered like dust and leaves when the mighty blasts of October seize them and whirl them aloft and sprinkle them far o'er the ocean. Naught but tradition remains of the beautiful village of Grand Prix. Ye who believe in affection that hopes and endures and is patient, ye who believe in the beauty and strength of woman's devotion, list to the mournful tradition still sung by the pines of the forest. List to a tale of love in Acadie, home of the happy. Part the First, Canto 1. In the Acadian land, on the shores of the basin of Minas, distant, secluded, still, the little village of Grand Prix lay in the fruitful valley. Vast meadows stretched to the eastward, giving the village its name, and pasture to flocks without number. Dikes that the hands of the farmers had raised with labor incessant shut out the turbulent tides, but at stated seasons the floodgates opened and welcomed the sea to wander at will o'er the meadow. North, west, and south there were fields of flax and cornfield and orchards and cornfields spreading afar and unfenced o'er the plain. And away to the northward Blomidon rose, and the forests old, and aloft on the mountain sea fogs pitched their tents, and mists from the mighty Atlantic looked on the happy valley, but ne'er from their station descended. There, in the midst of its farms, reposed the Acadian village. Strongly built were the houses, with frames of oak and of hemlock, such as the peasants of Normandy built in the reign of the Henrys. Thatched were the roofs with dormer windows, and gables projecting over the basement below protected and shaded the doorway. There, in the tranquil evenings of summer, when brightly the sunset lighted the village street and gilded the vanes on the chimneys, matrons and maidens sat in snow-white caps and in kirtles scarlet and blue and green, with distaffs spinning the golden flax for the gossiping looms, while their noisy shuttles within doors mingled their sounds with the whir of the wheels and the songs of the maidens. Solemnly down the street came the parish priest, and the children paused in their play to kiss the hand he extended to bless them. Reverend walked he among them, and uprose matrons and maidens, hailing his slow approach with words of affectionate welcome. Then came the laborers home from the fields, and serenely the sun sank down to his rest, and twilight prevailed. Anon from the belfry softly the Angelus sounded, and over the roofs of the village, columns of pale blue smoke like clouds of incense ascending, rose from 100 hearths, the homes of peace and contentment. Thus dwelt together in love these simple Acadian farmers, dwelt in the love of God and of man. Alike were they free from fear that reigns with the tyrant and envy the vice of republics. Neither had they locks to their doors nor bars to their windows, but their dwellings were open as day in the hearts of their owners. There the richest was poor, and the poorest lived in abundance. Somewhat apart from the village and nearer the basin of Minas, Benedict Bellefontaine, the wealthiest farmer of Grand Prix, dwelt on his goodly acres, and with him, directing his household, gentle Evangeline lived, his child and the pride of the village. Black were her eyes as the berry that grows on the thorn by the wayside. Black, yet how softly they gleamed beneath the brown shade of her tresses. Sweet was her breath as the breath of kine that feed in the meadow. When, in the harvest heat, she bore to the reapers at noontide flagons of home-brewed ale, ah, fair in sooth was the maiden. Fairer was she when on Sunday morn, while the bell from its turret mingles with holy sounds the air, as the priest with his hyssop sprinkles the congregation and scatters blessings upon them. Down the long street she passed, with her chaplet of beads and her missal, wearing her Norman cap and her kirtle of blue and the earrings, brought in olden time from France, and since as an heirloom, handed down from mother to child through long generations. But a celestial brightness, a more ethereal beauty, shone from her face and encircled her form when, after confession, homeward serenely she walked with God's benediction upon her. When she had passed, it seemed like the ceasing of exquisite music. So, this is going to be my last recitation for a while, because as I mentioned last week, I've been having sort of trouble sectioning things off to get my mind to remember it better. There are a total, there is a prelude and then 2 parts of Evangeline, and each part has 5 cantos, and each canto is between 1.5 to 3 pages long of text. It's a lot of poem. It's a lot of poem. I'm committed to keeping going. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start recording myself reading the sections, reading each canto. So there'll be videos that will be the cantos individually. And I think what I need to do, so there's a total of 11 segments. I think what I need to do to get that more manageable in terms of dealing with how memory functions, I think what I need to do is group 2 cantos together. And then that will be, if I do the prelude as a section on its own, and then 2 cantos together would make 6 segments. And the brain tends to like things in +5 ±2. So 6 falls within that. It's just a matter of getting my brain to think of things differently segmented. I also need to, within the cantos, be segmenting them differently so that I'm working with a section of 5 ±2 lines at a time. That will be slow going, but I think it's going to help me actually get to the end. My current prediction today, September 24th, 2023, my prediction is that this will take me 3 years to memorize this poem. So, September 24th, 2026, let's check back in about that. See if I'm done. Maybe I'll get it done significantly faster. This month I have made no progress in terms of getting more lines in because of doing 30-30 with Tupelo Press. Hopefully there won't be too many more of those stalling points. But for the next few weeks, the videos I'll be releasing will be me just reading the cantos from the page itself, as opposed to recitation. And this will allow me to get videos out there where I can also play myself back, hearing myself read them, that will help me segment things better for my brain. Because I am using Evangeline in rhythm for poems that I'm writing right now. So that's another way to get the things into my little noggin. One reason I noticed I had some wobbles is that right before I recorded this, I recorded 2 short stories that are going to be up Tuesday and Thursday of the upcoming week. I record stuff secret. I record stuff on the weekend and then schedule them to go up on Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon. Like I'm a real content creator or something. So I recorded those first, and they're both stories that have a lot of things from my childhood that are sort of blended in. They're fiction, so you don't know which parts are real and which parts are not. And sometimes people guess the wrong parts when they try to play the guessing game. So, I mean, you're welcome to guess once the stories are up. You can put in their comments which parts you think are real. I won't necessarily answer you unless you're somebody that I know, but other people are also welcome to agree or disagree with you on that. I don't know. So look for those coming on Tuesday and Thursday. But my brain was still in those stories, was still in the place, not necessarily the place of creation of them, but in the incidents that they're based on, even though loosely, so very, very loosely based. But my brain is still in those moments right now. And it's hard to remember things. It's hard for your brain to remember things when it's got itself lost in the past. And I've had a lot of EMDR, so it doesn't happen to me often. But reading those stories, 2 in a right, like I read one, then I read the other, then I tried to remember Evangeline, and my brain was just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's 1983. Did you think it was 2023? Whoops, whoopsie." So it was a slightly rough reading, not terrible. We got through it, and like I said, coming up weeks they will be readings as opposed to recitations. But then I hope that I will be able to get back to doing the recitations sooner rather than later. Because I think it is kind of fun to be able to memorize the poem. And I'm getting to know the rhythm better, getting to know the poem better, and getting to know you better. Thanks for stopping by.